7, you're cleared to conduct aerial fuel along AR 625, maintain flight level 190, several cleared higher by the tanker.
Hello, valued viewers. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. This is Grumpmeister of the Grim Reapers, and today we're going to take a look at the next level of versatile HOTAS, specifically VKB's single/twin engine control system, or STECS. I will be giving you the details you need on VKB's newest product. This will be video 1 of 3 as I guide you through the showcase and my impressions of a full VKB setup. Full disclosure, VKB did send me the product at no charge with the sole request that I conduct a non-biased and honest review, and that's what I'm here to accomplish. For the purposes of this video, we will discuss what will be shipped to you, first time setup, features showcase and configuration options, areas where the STECS is strong, and a few things I'd like to see improved on. Without further ado, let's get started. Here is the box I was shipped. VKB uses a few levels of protection against a delivery service potentially breaking your unit in transit, and I believe the solutions used are adequate. The unit ships from China, however, shipping times are generally about 10 days after placing your order. I'd say that's rather good for having to traverse the Pacific to my front door, but of course, shipping times can vary if you're in the EU. The primary box was snugly fit into a shipping box, and from there, the internal packaging consisted of bags and foam. Because of this, the product arrived in pristine condition with no scratches, marks, or blemishes. Excellent job here, VKB. Here I was shipped the STECS Standard, and this is where I want to quickly mention that there are 4 different packages you can purchase based on your budget. The STECS Mini, the Mini Plus, the Standard, and the Max. Pricing will be covered later in this video. With the STECS Standard, you'll be shipped the baseline STECS Mini with the Standard Throttle Extension Module, or STEM, pre-assembled on the STECS Standard baseplate. Also included with the STECS Standard is the STECS Accessory Magazine with detent frames and the Button Module Upgrade Kit. 2 alternate colors of rubber throttle grips are included in the event you wouldn't want to fly with a high visibility red trim on the top. I think this is a nice touch since I personally am a fan of a more neutral color with my setup. Lastly, the package includes the 2 screwdrivers you need to adjust your STECS, giving you the ability to make the throttle truly personalized to your needs. So, for me to continue any further here, I do believe some changes are necessary to the setup. Aha, that is much better. This new setup will be discussed in more detail in upcoming videos. For the moment, let's get into the intricacies of the STECS Standard. It is useful to mention how versatile and compatible the STECS is with existing setups you may have. Based on a solid steel platform, the STECS Standard can be mounted to a sim rig, a chair mount, or it could simply be used as a standalone device placed on the desktop if you'd like. The Standard's baseplate hole pattern matches that of the Thrustmaster Warthog throttle. For the purposes of this review, I used VKB's own mounting solution, the Universal Controller Mount Short version, or UCMS. The overall setup uses the Pilot C UCM combo, which I will discuss further in another video, as this is about what complicates this setup outside of simply plugging in the supplied USB B cord into the back of the throttle and then plugging it into your PC. That part is super simple. Okay, let's dive deeper into everything the STECS offers, because honestly I can't wait any longer to talk about this. This is actually so cool to me. God, if you guys only knew my frustration with not having a detent solution, then you would see how this is such a step up from what I'm used to. Actually, let me show you. I did have a soft detent that I glued using a bit of zip ties. Janky, I know, but it worked. Anyway, the STECS is all about detents. So much so that they offer 5 different swappable detent profiles, both in software and hardware. Yes, the middle strip here can be removed and replaced from the accessories magazine. As I mentioned before, the STECS Standard package comes with the accessories magazine that includes 4 color-coded detent frames, of which you can put up to 3 different settings into each profile. The detent frames make it possible for you to swap out detents based on different aircraft or modes within seconds. If you want to go from DCS profiles to, say, IL-2 or Star Citizen or even Elite Dangerous, you can do that. Disclaimer that the two triggers forward of the throttle can be used as digital finger lifts for detents in DCS, but do not actuate a physical detent finger lift. These features are made even more powerful by the software that handles the intricacies of VKB products, VKB Dev. I could talk about all of the configurations made possible using the software, but this would turn into an hour-long review. Also, it's not my software, so instead I'll refer you to VKB's own YouTube channel, where they have an entire catalog of setup videos. I'll warn you now that there is a lot of documentation available, and it can get overwhelming very quick. I'd recommend that when you set up your HOTAS for use that you stick to what the STECS is already programmed for, and slowly branch out to advanced settings as you get comfortable. When it comes to buttons, VKB was like, "Yo dog, I heard you like buttons, so I put buttons on your buttons so you could button while you button." I wish I was kidding. This is something else that can be overwhelming when upgrading from a more basic throttle like my X56. In fact, there are more buttons than I have breath, so let me sum this up as fast as I can. In total, 4 throttle triggers, 2 wheel encoders, 2 dial encoders, 2 4-way switches, 1 2-way switch, 2 K switches, 1 self-centering 3-position switch, 1 non-centering 3-position switch, 1 analog wheel axis, 1 analog mini stick, 14 dedicated buttons, and that's not even mentioning the profile switch dial and the fact that the dial encoders, hat switches, mini stick, and K switches can all be pressed down for an additional button input. More buttons than you could ever need? Yes. A bit overwhelming? Oh boy. Now, everything is adjustable on this throttle, and I mean everything. Button inputs, customizable. Individual throttle friction knobs, adjustable. Encoders getting changed into axis controls? Yes. Even the non-centering 3-way switch can be converted into a slider axis. Oh, did I mention that the hat switches on the right throttle can even be swapped out? Yep, that's a thing. The combination of button assignments within VKB Dev make this possibly the most versatile throttle I've ever seen. Speaking more on these customizable detent settings, VKB have video tutorials on them, but I figure a quick demonstration will show you how this can have practical applications. After some setup, the first detent is used for the flight idle and off positions, and it works that same way in all of my aircraft. Push them past the detent to go into idle mode. Pull them back over the detent to initiate fuel cutoff. Like I mentioned before, even a detent to activate the afterburners. Adjustable throttle friction works pretty well to help stabilize your throttles while refueling. I mean, look at this. Very little input to keep the jet in a good zone to refuel.
Transfer complete. Disconnect.
into the trap on the carrier.
You're a little low. Power. You're a little low.
Power. Disclaimer, I'm not showing this for people to grade my landings, we're just here for a throttle review, folks. As a throttle not specific to any airframe, this allows for freedom and flexibility in its design. As a simple matter of fact, there are more buttons that can be assigned on this throttle than any other high-end throttle on the market. Even so, if you want a button to work a different way, VKB Dev can make that happen, even allowing some buttons to be converted to axes like I mentioned before. As a pilot of the DCS variety, I absolutely appreciate a HOTAS that isn't airframe specific, as I like to have the flexibility to swap to the F-18, F-15, F-16, Apache, Huey, whatever, and be able to basically have the same button layout between them. The buttons have a muted but tactile feel to them, so you can get feedback on your button press without it seeming too arcadey. Of course, I can't mention that bit without showing you a little bit of button ASMR.
Nut.
Next up, for once, I can actually put price as a pro. At $199 US for the STECS Mini, $219 for the Mini Plus, $279 for the Standard, and $319 for the Max, this is a very solid investment. Sure, the throttle itself is about as much as an entire X56 HOTAS, but it's definitely cheaper than Virpil, Windwing, and Thrustmaster Warthog HOTAS systems. On top of that, you are absolutely getting more bang for your buck. Just keep in mind, EU viewers, that these prices do not account for price conversion to euros, shipping, or VAT. So, with this beaming amount of praise for this throttle, surely there are no drawbacks, right? Now, back to the buttons, there is a very noticeable looseness to these buttons. There's some travel to them before they actually click and register said click. I've encountered some issues where I'm trying to actuate a button on, for example, one of the two-way or four-way hats, and there's a chance I activate a different button on the hat than the one I wanted to hit. In other instances, a button that should be clearly able to be hit won't register correctly because of the direction of the pressure isn't directly head-on. For example, the two-way hat with depress. I can't reliably get the depress to register. Honestly, I'd love to see the buttons tightened up a bit and make them feel a bit more solid. Something that the X56 offered that I quite enjoyed was button backlighting. You don't get that with the STECS, and that makes visibility difficult. Often played in a dark environment, and not having a lit reference is a handicap. I feel like this was a missed opportunity for VKB to have a truly remarkable throttle. This one's more of a personal gripe because of some quality of life features I had grown accustomed to with the X56 over the years. The appreciation for the detent in the center of the radial axis, as I normally use something of that nature as my zoom. Without a detent to denote the zero zone, I sorta have to guess on where the default zoom is. Now you could argue I could just make some changes to my throttle via VKB Dev, and I can, for example, use the positional three-way switch, but I kinda want to keep the switch configured how it is at the moment. This last bit, I'm not really sure if I can count this as a con. It's a pro and a con? Anyway, you can plug in the STECS out of the box into your PC and it will function as the throttle and the buttons will work. If you want more functionality like the detent profiles and converting some analog dials to axes, that requires some video tutorials and VKB Dev to accomplish. So yes, it's technically plug and play, and no, it's not fully plug and play. I mentioned a lot of customizability and compatibility here, and it's very easy to get lost in the sauce. But have no fear though. there are plenty of support resources available to get you into a STECS state you truly love. You can find all the supporting documentation included in their YouTube tutorials on their website, VKBcontrollers.com. From there, you can download VKB Dev through the Downloads page and get support documentation on the Support tab. Now, ultimately, I came here to arm the valued viewers with the information needed to make an informed decision on a throttle solution. Would I recommend the STECS as your first throttle? No, not really. Entry level would be an X56 HOTAS or the Thrustmaster T16000 for the price. However, if you're ready to graduate from an entry level HOTAS, then for the reasons I mentioned above, the VKB STECS is where you should go next. First of all, the price makes it cheaper than any other higher end throttles out there, and secondly, the versatility and the features the STECS offers is simply hard to beat. Personally, graduating from the X56 to the setup myself, it's going to take a bit more time for me to finally get used to the new layout. But I can say with confidence that what the STECS brings to the table makes my flying easier and more immersive for sure. And this truly makes me excited to fly my birds more than ever. This is Gruntmeister, and I hope I've helped you decide if the VKB STECS is the next throttle you want to invest in. Take care out there.